Hey everybody, how's it going? Barry here, and today I'm finally doing a video on time. Well, somewhat on time. But anyway, we're going to be talking about Benjamin, who is the current Rebirth Festival Mon. By the time this video goes up, there should still be 3 more days left or so for him. Now, before we get into looking at its skills and stats, whatever, I'm not building any of them, well, I am evolving one of them to fill up the guide, but I'm not building any of them just because I'm not interested. But that doesn't mean that they're bad. Just throwing that out there. It's just not something that I'm interested in building. But anyway, let's go on to fire real quick. So here we are. Here's the Evo 1, Evo 2, and the Evo 3. Very cool. Has the whole Benjamin Button syndrome, I think is the term. But yeah, it has that whole thing going where it starts off as an old person, and then as they develop, they get younger and younger. Very cool. Very, very cool. But anyway, so here's fire, and here's the variant. I like them both, but I'm going to choose the variant just because it's very unique for a variant Firemon. So yeah, I like this one more. Looking at the stats, it is an attacker, has a good attack set. Its HP is a lot higher than normal for Nat 4 attackers. We don't see a lot of them that have their HP go into the 3k range. 30k range, so that's very nice. Its defense, however, is pretty low. It's normally we see our attackers that are Nat 4s or above with a little bit over 2k. This is slightly below, so but it's not super, super detrimental. But looking at the skills, so first off, the leader skill, we have defense up, 30 to 35%. It is any content, so that's very nice. Overall, great leader skill. Not like fire is not a priority for the leader skill, but even if you did build fire, having the leader skill is always helpful. But there are other elements that you'd prefer it on, which we'll get into when we get to them. But anyway, looking at the skills, the 3-star, we have Stalker, 30%. Skill books make it 40%, give it 20% damage boost. Then on 5-star, we have Stalker as well, 30%. Skill books make it 40% and give it 20% damage boost there as well. There too. First off, before we even go into where you want to use it, just a quick note about skills. In comparison to other Stalker mons that are Nat 4s or above, well, actually, just Nat 4s. I don't think there are any Nat 5 Stalker mons off the top of my head. Also, I don't think there are any light Stalker mons off the top of my head. Let me know if I'm wrong about either of those statements, please. Because I don't feel like looking through the guide to check it. But compared to other Nat 4 Stalker mons, like Water Yaksha, Wood Gene, and Dark Wildfang, for example, with books, they all go up to 50% Stalker. So Benjamin only going up to 40% is a little bit upsetting. It does make it a little bit of a less viable Stalkermon than the other ones that I've named, but still not bad. Having a base 40% crit rate, 50% on top of the base 10% that you get with fire elements, makes gemming a lot easier. But yeah, where you'd want to use it, so 1, PvP, offense specifically, just as a general fire attacker. Having that Stalker, it's going to make it easier getting its crit rate up, and, you just go for damage. Then, also, for farming, then GB9 specifically, and DB8, of course, those are wood dungeons, so you're going to want to bring your Firemon there, and being a fire attacker, very nice. You can also use them for Titans. Just as a fire attacker, he definitely will fall off as you get Crazy Strike and Unflinching Strike mons. But you can probably take him pretty far. With Dark Wildfang, for example, I used mine a little bit against Light Titan just for fun. And I've managed to get her up to about 6 to 8 mil on average, so Benjamin can probably do around the same, presumably. It wouldn't be higher or lower just because while Wildfang is weak to the Light Titan, so it'll die faster, whereas Benjamin would resist the Wood Titan and not die as quickly. It doesn't have the base 100% crit damage that Wild Fang has, so damage output isn't as high, but survivability would be a little higher. Then you can also use it in Wood Colossus just as a fire attacker there as well. And that is pretty much it. How I would build it completely offensively. Because it is a Stalker Mon and it's going to have 50% crit rate before even looking at gems, but with full books, I would recommend going like attack crit damage and getting that extra 50% crit rate from substats. That would be the most optimal build that you can go with for him. Though, you can also go crit rate attack, just because, or crit rate attack crit damage, mind you. Reason for that is if you have an attack gem and a crit damage gem with like no crit rate subs, but like all the other subs on them are great, you can just throw that crit rate gem for that 50%, but damage output won't be as high as if you went attack crit damage, but it would be easier to get that max crit rate. But anyway, let's move on to Water. And Water is an interesting mon. It may be one of a kind if I remember correctly. But anyway, so here we have the regular and the variant. I like the variant, love the purple hair. Looking at the stats, defense, HP, really good. Attack, really low, but it is not meant to deal damage whatsoever, so it's not that big of an issue. Looking at the skills, on 3-star we have, well, 3-star and 5-star we have Blind. For the 3-star, it is 70% 2 turns. Skill books make it 80% 3 turns and give a 10% damage boost. Then on 5-star, it is 80% 2 turns. Skill books make it 90%, give a 20% damage boost there. The reason why I say I think it's one of a kind is because I don't believe we have any other double blind mons. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. Where you want to use it, there is really only one place blind is useful, and that's against Light Titan. Anywhere else, you'd much rather have a different skill. So yeah, Light Titan, that's it. And its purpose is to just debuff. I believe its animation speed is pretty quick. It's been a while since I've seen the animation for it, but I'm pretty sure it's a decent speed. So if you had a slow exposed weakness mon like Light Sherlock, you wouldn't have to worry about it stealing the exposed weakness, which is just something to keep in mind there. How I would build it: HP, defense, HP, defense. Because of the debuffs from Light Titan, you don't even have to worry about resist subs. I would just focus on getting, like, on the HP gems, I would focus on getting defense subs, and then on the defense gems, focus on getting HP subs. The reason it doesn't need resist is because the debuffs from Light Titan are attack down and blind, which are just meant to lower damage, whereas Water Benjamin isn't meant to deal damage, so yeah. Anyway, also it is a very good candidate for the leader skill if you do end up with a variant Benjamin, just because defense up is a good lead to have for your debuffers on the left side in your Titan teams. Anyway, here we have Wood. Here's the regular. Very nice, I like it. And the variant, I also like it. And I'm going to say I like the variant more just because the green hair puts it above. Looking at the stats, it is a tank. Has a really good HP stat for a Nat 4 tank. We don't see a lot of Nat 4 tanks that go into the 40k range, so very nice. Its defense is pretty good as well. Nothing super amazing, but it is about a little bit higher than the average, I believe. I believe the average for tanks is about 2 to 2.3k, and this is almost 2.5. And the attack is good as well. It's not meant to deal any damage, but at least it's 2k, so yeah. Looking at the skills, on 3-star we have Seal, 80% 2 turns. Skill books make it 90%, give a 20% damage boost. Then on 5-star we have Petrification, 80% 1 turn. Skill books make it 90% and give a 15% damage boost there. Where you want to use it, really only has one place where its skill combo is useful, and that would be PvP. Pretty much Seal is only useful in PvP. There are other content like Tower of Chaos where it could be helpful, but like in those cases, there's always a skill that you'd much rather have over Seal. Whereas Seal is something that is pretty good for PvP. More specifically, defense, that's where you'd want to use Light Benjamin, just because its very good defensive stats and its defense-oriented skills, it can just sit there, spread some seals, and then eventually have some CCs once it gets bar full. Though, keep in mind, of course, we do have Fire Draka, which is a thing, so wood bonds on defense teams aren't ideal. But if you don't care about that, then by all means, it is a decent choice for you. It's not like top tier because Seal, while decent in PvP, is not great either, so it will definitely fall off. How I would build it: HP, HP defense, HP defense defense. I'd probably go HP defense defense. I think that would be a lot better for it, just because it does have a really high HP stat already. And then, of course, Draka having puncture ignores the base defense completely for Benjamin, so it will do a lot, whereas with gems, your Benjamin will be able to most likely live the hit, at least one hit from puncture, presumably. Of course, I haven't actually tested that out, but I'm pretty sure it'll be able to live at least once. But yeah, that is it for wood, and wood is also a very good candidate for PvP, for your variant, because defense leads on PvP defense teams are very nice. But anyway, let's go on to light. First off, here's the variant. I like the variant more, just because, again, I like the unnatural hair colors, which the last three variants seem to have had. Looking at the stats, it is an attacker, has a really good attack stat, 3.3k, very nice. Its HP and defense are both okay as well. Oh, not even okay, they're both pretty good. They're like middle of the road, maybe slightly above average. So yeah, very nice stats overall. Looking at the skills, for 3-star and 5-star we have Perseverance, or Persevere. I don't know the skill book values for light because I do not have one. I know I completed it in the guide, but after that I just rebirthed it, and that wasn't this time around. That was like long ago at one of the previous Benjamin rebirths, and I did so just because I have no use for a double Persevere mon. But so my assumption, though, based on skill books, would be that it would just give a 20 to 30% damage boost. There's nothing else that I can see it giving. But anyway, where you'd want to use it, you can actually use Light Benjamin in a lot of places. So one, PvP, specifically offense. Actually, I think it'd do well with both, depending on how you build it. Of course, if you put it on defense, you're going to have to build it a lot more bulky, just so it can live more hits. And then, of course, on offense, you want to build it more offensively. But the thing about Perseverance is that it increases your damage as the turns go by. And in PvP, with an attacker, keeping it alive for multiple turns is going to be quite difficult if you don't have really good gems and trinkets on your attacker. So that's just something to keep in mind there. But where else you can use it? One, Titans. Titans, it's easier to keep the mons alive for a longer period of time because, of course, you'll have healers there, whereas you won't have healers in PvP other than passive healers, which won't really provide much support in terms of overall healing. So in comparison, it'll definitely be more likely to survive against Titans. And it's worth noting that Persevere, while not as good as Unflinching or Courageous Strike for Titans, it is still pretty good. I have seen a screenshot, I don't remember if it was on Reddit or from somebody in my clan, but they did get their Benjamin to be pretty high, but it does depend a lot on team composition, and I believe it was like 14 mil or something that they got their Benjamin to. I don't remember the exact number, but yeah, it's definitely possible to get some good damage there. Then you can also use it in Dark Colossus just as a light attacker, and in Light Colossus as well. Though with those places, typically you're going to want to go through the method of getting through the dungeon as quickly as possible, and so Perseverance won't have that much of enough, like, it won't be able to snowball the way you'd want it to. And something worth noting about Persevere is that if you're using it for farming, which I don't recommend, just because when you're in a dungeon that has multiple waves, the Persevere doesn't carry over to the next wave. So if you're on wave 1, you stay there for 3 turns, you beat wave 1 and move on to wave 2, it resets back to 0. So you lose the boost that you'd get. But yeah, that's about it. And how I would build it. So one, PvP, and for PvP offense and any other place, I would build it offensively. So like crit rate attack, crit rate attack, crit damage. But PvP defense, you might want to try something a little bit more bruiser build or something like that, just because being able to keep it alive for longer and its persevere will end up multiplying its attack power eventually, so it can have some benefits from extra HP and defense. But anyway, let's move on to Dirk. And here we go. Another one that I've built. Pretty much I've Evo 3'd all the Benjamin except Fire so far, and I rebirthed all of them. Just because it's just because I don't really like Persevere as a skill, and then the other mons I already have things for, so yeah. Okay, so on to Dirk. Here's the regular, love the purple in the cloak, and here's the variant, nice blacks and grays. I'm gonna go with the regular, just because the purple, love it. Now looking at the stats, so Dark Benjamin is a balanced mon, and overall stats are all very good. The attack is a little bit higher than we see for Nat 4 balanced mons. Typically for balanced mons that are Nat 4, we usually see them around like 26 k HP, like 2.6 attack and defense, just for comparison. Actually, I don't think Sphinx is a good comparison, because it has a higher attack than normal. Here's a... Oh no, she's an attacker. Also an attacker. Is there no balanced mons here? Balanced? Nope. Oh my god, there's like no balanced mons here to compare it with. Let's see. Okay, forget it. I'm not gonna compare. I'm just gonna say it's... Stats are overall good. Overall good. Looking at the skills, on 3-star we have defense down, 70% 2 turns. Skill boost make it 80%, give a 20% damage boost. And then on 5-star we have persevere, and skill boost give a 20% damage boost there. So, somewhat similar in set to light, though of course the defense down is the difference. So you'd kind of want to build them the same way, with offensive focus, but you also want some like survivability going, just so they can live long enough to get the full benefits of persevere. But anyway, where you can use Dark specifically, pretty much the same places that I mentioned for light. That's about it. PvP though, I wouldn't really go with defense. Definitely not. Even though its HP and defense are higher, defense down on a single target attack is not great. So yeah, I would avoid that. Though on offense can be pretty good. Then Titans does serve a bit more utility than Light does, whereas Light you'd focus more on the offense. With Dark you would focus more on the defense down, and then just every now and then the Persevere will give you a little extra damage. And the same thing can be said for Dark and Light Colossus as well. Though defense down isn't really needed for Light Colossus, just because it does have a very low defense stat already. You're more likely going to want to use just Exposed Weakness on its own. But yeah, how I build it offensively, take advantage of it being a Dark Mon with that base 100 crit damage. So crit rate attack, crit rate attack, crit damage, something like that would be very nice. And using it for any of those places that I mentioned, just keep it alive, and eventually when it gets its 5-star, it'll do some decent damage. But yeah, that is it for Dark. Not much else to say. Personally, I'm not very knowledgeable in Persevere, so I'm not the best person to speak about the skill in general. The only Persevere mon that I use is Dark Sandwraith, and I really mostly just use it because of the SP Siphon that it has on 3-star. I think that's a very nice utility, and I have that built crit rate defense HP, so that it can live as long as possible. Then every now and then when it gets its bar full, because it built crit rate, it'll take advantage of its crit damage, and then the damage boost from Persevere would also let it hit pretty hard. Which is something that I think you can also do with Dark Benjamin, but it's not as reliable just because Dark Benjamin doesn't have a way to fill its SP bar the way Dark Sandwraith does. But anyway, I don't have any of the Benjamin built to showcase them, so I can't do that. But to prioritize them. So first I would go light just because overall it's just a really good attacker specifically in places that I mentioned. And because I saw that one person that got the light Benjamin to do like 14 mil damage to Dark Titan, you know, clearly there's potential there that I'm missing out on with light Benjamin. Then Dark would be next just because Darkmon, offensive skills, you know, very nice. Then I would put Water because it is a very useful blind mon. Pretty sure the only double blind mon in the game. I don't use it just because I do have a Light Nezha, and Light Nezha is better for blind than Water Benjamin. Not because, Water Benjamin is double blind, but the 3-star blind that Nezha has is stronger than Benjamin's 3-star because Benjamin's 3-star with books is 80% 3 turns, but that is Light Nezha's 3-star without books. It goes up to, I believe, 90% 3 turns with books, so yeah, and also Nezha is like my number 1 waifu in the game, so like I'm obviously gonna choose her over anything else. But yeah, oh, and she has Weaken, which is nice. So yeah. Then I would put Fire. Fire is a good mon. It's just that there are plenty of fire attackers in the game that would definitely have higher priority than Fire Benjamin. Then last I would put Wood, just because Seal, like, by no means is Wood bad, but Seal is just not great in general. You'd much rather have a CC rather than just eliminating your opponent's ability. You'd rather eliminate their ability to attack in general. And then, of course, they do have CC on 5-star, but Petrification is pretty much the worst CC in the game that we have, just because it doubles the opponent's defense, which isn't very nice. But yeah, that is it for the Benjamin. It's all about the Benjamin, you know. Have yourselves a good day, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, all of that. Have yourselves a good day. I'm pretty sure I just said that. And I'll see you guys all in the next video.